But let me be absolutely clear. Remember when we had multiple arrests at a gathering, and then another gathering happened the following week? If we believe that we can arrest our way towards safety, we're wrong. We ask police officers to do too much. At some point, adults have to work hard to help raise their children.
Stop scrolling right now. A major U.S. mayor just told the public that arresting criminals doesn't actually work, mere hours after 5 of his own police officers were run over by a mob. You literally cannot make this up.
News on the city's west side. 5 Chicago police officers were hurt after they were struck by a driver. It happened near Roosevelt and Loomis in Little Italy neighborhood. We're told the officers were on foot dispersing a large gathering at the time. The driver, an 18-year-old man, was taken into custody and charges are pending. At last check, all the officers were in fair condition.
Wait, did you actually hear the details of this report? 5 Chicago police officers were intentionally struck by a vehicle while simply trying to disperse a massive illegal street gathering at 3 in the morning. Let that sink in. The criminals in this city have become so entirely emboldened by the lack of consequences that they are literally using vehicles as weapons against law enforcement in plain sight. This isn't just a random accident. This is a direct, coordinated attack on the very people tasked with keeping the streets safe. When the street mobs realize that the political leadership will not back the police become the targets. This is the direct, terrifying result of a culture that prioritizes the feelings of violent offenders over the safety of the taxpaying public and the officers sworn to protect them. The absolute chaos on these streets is entirely by design.
Working all the hours you say you're working.
I don't comment, man.
None of them could explain why they've been billing taxpayers for 8-hour overtime shifts paid at time and a half on timesheets, though our cameras showed them leaving hours earlier. Their time got approved all the way up the chain of command.
How is this getting approved?
Look very closely at this hidden camera footage. This is a massive, multi-million-dollar fraud scheme happening right out in the open. State highway workers in Massachusetts are physically leaving their jobs hours early, yet billing the taxpayers for full time-and-a-half overtime shifts. One guy walked away with $240,000, nearly 3 times his base salary. The absolute arrogance here is staggering. Every single person up the chain of command signed off on these blatantly falsified timesheets. This completely destroys the public trust. While everyday Americans are struggling to afford basic groceries and gas, corrupt government bureaucrats are essentially running a highly organized crime syndicate using public tax dollars. The fact that it took an undercover news team 7 months to catch this, while the state government looked the other way, tells you everything you need to know about the bureaucratic rot in these states.
I would say I really don't know much about curfews because I wasn't one of those teens who would be outside for real. Like, I wasn't raised for that. But one thing I would say is that I wouldn't think that it would, because some people home, we trying to escape home. You know, teens try to escape home. So I feel like a curfew, it might belittle that, because while you trying to keep someone in the house, they could be with a safe spaces organization.
Listen incredibly carefully to what this teenager just admitted on camera. She is literally justifying the violent teen takeovers by claiming that curfews won't work because teenagers just want to escape home. That is the absolute most tragic, terrifying tell you will ever hear. It completely exposes the root of this entire crisis. This has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of summer programs or government funding. It is a total, catastrophic collapse of the family unit. When kids feel like they need to physically escape their own homes at 3 in the morning just to find a safe space in a violent street mob, the culture is fundamentally broken. You cannot legislate or arrest your way out of a crisis when the parents have completely abandoned their fundamental duties. The politicians will throw millions of dollars at this, but no amount of taxpayer money can ever replace a structured, disciplined home life.
Massachusetts Republican Party Chair Amy Carnevale released a statement following the release of the report, saying in part, quote, "As much as Maura Healey would like the public to think that she's improving the system, the data tells a different story."
Did you catch that specific dollar amount? The state of Massachusetts is quietly shifting nearly $100 million of taxpayer money to pay for housing for illegal migrants. This is the exact same state government that just allowed its own highway workers to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars in fake overtime. The complete disregard for the actual tax-paying citizen is almost unbelievable. They are taking funds directly out of programs meant to help struggling, at-risk American families and funneling it into an endless black hole of migrant housing. Notice how the political establishment tries to bury these numbers. They want you to think they are improving the system, but the raw data proves they are actively bankrupting the state. When you prioritize international transients over your own struggling citizens, you are actively choosing to destroy your own state's economy.
Officers say around 3 in the morning, that's when they were in the area near 25th and Washington, and that's when they did hear gunshots. Officers say they did find those 4 victims. Among those who were shot include an 18-year-old, 2 16-year-old girls, and a 14-year-old boy. They were all taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where they are currently being treated. It's still unclear what exactly led up to the shooting, and at the scene there was lots of debris and also trash scattered on the ground. Officers could also be seen escorting 2 people in handcuffs. It's unclear if they are facing any charges. Now, investigators say the shooter ran away from the scene. Please
pause and look at this horrific crime scene footage. 4 teenagers, some as young as 14 years old, were brutally shot during this absolute chaos. This is what happens when a mayor gets on television and explicitly tells the public that arresting criminals doesn't work. The criminals listen, they see the weakness, and they exploit it. The mayor spends all of his political capital trying to police the vocabulary of his critics, demanding they stop using the term teen takeover, while actual children are bleeding out on the concrete in his city. This is the deadly cost of prioritizing progressive, soft-on-crime ideology over basic law enforcement. When you remove the absolute certainty of punishment, you guarantee an explosion of violence. The blood is on the hands of the political leaders who refuse to lock up violent offenders.
The bottom of all of this, and I have zero tolerance for this. As a former Attorney General, I prosecuted cases of fraud, including against public employees, and I'll make sure that happens now. If people are screwing around, they're not at work, they're not where they're supposed to be. It's outrageous, and I work with people across state government, local government, federal government who show up every day and do their jobs and work really hard.
Watch the absolute masterclass in political theater right here. Governor Maura Healey is pretending to be completely outraged that state workers were stealing taxpayer money, claiming she has zero tolerance. But notice the immediate pivot. She claims she doesn't know if the higher-ups were complicit. Give me a break. A massive coordinated overtime fraud scheme that paid out hundreds of thousands of dollars does not happen without executive complicity. She is a former attorney general. She knows exactly how the system works. This fake outrage is strictly for the cameras. The government always protects the government. They will likely fire a few low-level workers as sacrificial lambs, while the massive, bloated, bureaucratic machine that allowed this to happen continues to operate untouched. It is a completely rigged game, and the taxpayers are the only ones footing the bill. The political establishment is completely failing us, but the truth is finally coming out. Hit subscribe, drop a comment on who you think should go to jail, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.